Hi there, it's Sean Hagans again with SGH Photo. I thought I would give you a little tutorial. A lot of people have asked me because they know that I'm a photographer, and a lot of photographers nowadays, even the ones that do sports and make money off it, they're part-time. And for me, this is my full-time job. This is my main income. So a lot of people have asked, well, how do you make money doing photography? And I will tell you right now, I want to make sure that this is well known. I'm not a Fortune 500 company. Yes, I have a small photography business, and when I say small, I mean small. I don't have any full-time employees. I've got people who work for me part-time, but again, it's a very small operation, but it is enough for me to pay my bills. So I thought I would go into that. Now, one other thing I'm going to mention to you, which you might not know. So I don't think of myself as like super old, but I'm a bit older. And when I learned photography in school, well, I did photography when I was a little kid, but I mean, I really learned how to develop film and all of that in school, and that was in the 1990s, in the early 90s. So this was before digital. And back then, and back in those days, you could learn photography or you could learn videography. They weren't the same subject. Now they'll teach them both because a lot of the equipment, even the DSLRs, they can take video and so forth. Back then, that wasn't the case. So I know nothing about video, and that translates to even today. Now I know how to do digital photography. I know Photoshop and things of that nature because I use it for work, but I know nothing about video. I have no video editing programs. So I know a lot of photographers, a lot of people on YouTube, they'll have voiceover and they'll show different video clips and stuff like that. I don't know how to do that, and I don't think I have the gear to do it. So I'm gonna show you a few references, which I'll show on my laptop here, but for the most part, I will send links to the references that I'm speaking of. And I have my notes here too, so if I'm looking away, that's why. Usually my videos are off the cuff, but this one's not. Anyway, so like I said, a lot of people ask me how I do it. Now, for one thing, I should mention, and I will show you links to this. If you go to my, okay, so on YouTube, I have a very eclectic group of videos, but the very first videos that I uploaded, I think the first two of them were my assistant manager at the time, Tara Tarshi. She was explaining how we sell on site and how we go about doing things. And the third video is actually a commercial that that was aired. Only the very first few seconds and the last few seconds were actually aired, but it's a 3-minute clip, and that is voiceover and all of that stuff, but that was done professionally. I don't know how to do that. Anyway, but I would recommend going to that for the references I'm going to talk about. But anyway, one thing I should mention when I say photography, I do very few weddings, and now I don't even advertise weddings at all. I might do a few for friends, people that may know me, or for clients that I've done sports for. They ask me later when they get married if I do their wedding, and I will. But we do youth sports photography. We shoot primarily girls volleyball. We shoot, girls volleyball, dance competitions. Over the years, we've done horse shows. I don't do that anymore, really, and that's because the one equestrian center that we used to have a contract with, they went out of business, which is a shame. But anyway, I think I have videos on YouTube about that, but at least I know I have videos on Flickr about them going out of business because I went to their well, that's off the topic, but anyway, I'm sorry. Okay, so how do I make money with my photography? For one thing, again, I would say sell on site. Okay. A lot of people, they'll put their photos online later, they'll do, I should mention, so we do some high school work and stuff like that, but most of our money, especially with the girls volleyball, even with the dance competitions, they come from having contracts with the competitions, and then we pay a vendor fee, and that gives us the rights to sell our photos there, to be the photographer of the event. So, again, like I said, sell on site. A lot of people would they'll have a website, maybe SmugMug or something, and they'll take photos the whole day and say, okay, they'll be up on our SmugMug. Well, I got to explain this, and this isn't anything. I don't mean this in a disparaging way. It's just it is what it is. But kids today, unlike now, again, I'm older. But I'm not one of those people that's like, you young whippersnappers today. I don't mean it that way. But kids today have smaller attention spans and smaller their window of interest in things are smaller, and that's probably because again, there's internet, there's cell phones, there's a lot of really quick things that they're used to. So back in the day, now granted, before internet you couldn't put them online anyway. But my point though is that when I do a sports event, okay, you tell them, hey, they'll be online tomorrow or whenever. By that time, they kind of forgot about it. They will check, they might not. But if you tell them, if you're selling on site, which is what we do, we have a row of laptops with monitors attached to them, and you tell them, hey, the photos we're taking today, they're going to be online. They're going to be, I'm sorry, not online, they're going to be on our monitors in 5 minutes. As soon as you guys get off the volleyball court or the dance floor or whatever, they'll be up there. They will flock to it. So, they'll be really interested in it. And so that's why we do that. Now, the downside of that, when you think about the expense, is that, you can't be a one-man show doing that because you can't take the photos and sell at the same time. So you have to hire somebody else, at least one more employee, and maybe more. And you'll have to have the logistics of it. You have to have maybe 3 laptops at least with 3 monitors. So that's something you'll have to consider too. But I'm not talking about gaming laptops, really expensive ones. You could have, my laptops are 10 years old or more. They just need to be, they have to have enough processing power to show the photos. So they can't be like, Windows 95 laptops or something that's just gonna hang trying to show photos, but they don't need to be really elaborate or anything like that. But again, you do need to have an extra employee, and it has to be someone that's reasonably trustworthy because they'll be the ones handling the sales, the income, as well as also they need to be working and not just fooling around on their phones or something when you go back to the sales booth. So you have to kind of vet your employees, but you have to have at least one employee. Okay, second thing. Do not edit. Okay, I know that's something a lot of photographers want to do. They're like, "Oh, these photos aren't that great. I want to at least scroll through them and delete the bad ones." Well, you know what? There's no time for that. Okay, honestly, when we do our events, we're selling on site. We either, so I have a gopher collecting my memory cards, and they will put the cards up on the monitors right away. We don't do any editing. So. With that, I should mention too, this was another one of my bullet points, but I'm going to go to this one next because it kind of, organically transitions to that one. But that is, do not spray and pray, okay? I've hired photographers who work for local newspapers and stuff, and they're used to just hitting the burst mode and going, meh. There's no need for that, and that really will hurt you, and I'll tell you why. Again, let's use volleyball as an example. So a kid is serving a ball or spiking a ball. They don't want to have frame by frame by frame by frame by frame, and we don't have time to delete a bunch of them. Okay, so again, this just goes back to, like I said, when I was in school, I actually did photography for the school paper and things of that nature, and I did some local stuff too. But that was back in the early '90s. There was no super fast burst mode, and it's because, and this isn't, okay, so the laws of physics have not changed, so, the shutter speed burst mode could have been done back then, but of course, there were rolls of film, 24 exposure rolls of film. You wouldn't have an SLR that takes 12 frames a second, because you'd have to look like Rambo with a bandolier of film canisters, because that's only 2 seconds of shooting before you have to wind the film, and then wait for it to wind, and then take it out, and then get another roll. You'd miss the game, and it wouldn't make sense to do that. So, I learned with and I still recommend this for what we do. One shot, maybe 2 or 3. Okay, I take one shot a lot. Maybe I might take 2 or 3 occasionally. Some of my people do, but don't take like 20 shots of a frame or anything like that. Don't spray and pray. Even if you're gonna delete them in camera, what's gonna happen is you're gonna miss the next play because you're too busy looking at the camera deleting the photos. Just take 1 or 2 shots. So you have to know the game, and you have to know your equipment, and have the experience, I guess, and skill. Not that I'm not going to say I have a lot of skill, but I mean, you have to have the experience, and you have to be able to shoot the peak moments of action. So that's something you have to learn how to do. Okay, so that's number 1. Well, actually, that's number 3. Going back. You know what? I'm at the 10-minute mark. I think YouTube only allows you to take 10-minute videos, so the rest of this is going to be finished in part 2. Okay? Thank you.